Hi guys, it's Student Nurse Tiff. I'm coming through with a requested video this time. So in this particular video, I want to just discuss with you guys basically what my routine is like on a weekly basis, me being in my second quarter of nursing school, okay? So let's get started. First things first, I am taking 3 classes this quarter. The way the program is comprised, I think majority of the program we will be taking at least 3 classes at a time, 3 classes at minimum. Okay, and 3 classes may not sound like a lot, but with the workload that is included in a nursing program, I think anything over 3 classes is a lot. So absolutely, if you're not working, I would suggest not going over a maximum of 4 classes at a time, if that's even at all possible. But in my particular program, we do 3 at a time. So the first course that I'm taking is the Art and Science of Nursing, and this is the first of a series of courses, right? So a little bit about the course description. It has here, the foundation of art and science of nursing are developed through the study and practice of basic nursing skills, therapeutic communication, and critical thinking in the classroom, laboratory, and clinical sections. Foundations are strengthened through exposures of theories of human development, aging, stress, health teaching, and promotion. Knowledge is applied to the care of older adults in a clinical setting, facilitating students' understanding of individual expressions of wellness, health, illness, and the developmental of professional value systems. So that is the Art and Science of Nursing, and this is the first class of a series that I'm taking. I have this class every Monday from 8 to 12:15, right? And this class, when I tell you this teacher, she talks from start to finish. She makes sure she get all her time in. Ain't no leaving early out this class. So every morning at 8 o'clock, I am front row and centered in this classroom. The one thing that I am thankful for is the teacher has a lot of energy. She's very passionate about what she does, and she's fairly young, so she's relatable. So after I have this class from 8 to 12, I don't have any other classes on a Monday, which is good because then that leaves time for me to leave class and go to the library and study for this class. So basically, to me, the best way to study and to learn and to retain information when it comes to nursing school is to take what the teacher gives you, absorb as much as you can, and then you go home or you go to the library and you reinforce it. So Monday from 8 to 12, that's what I do. I sit in lecture, and then beyond that, I make sure I go and try to reinforce what the professor taught. So Tuesdays is the lab for that same class. Now, Tuesdays, my lab is from 12:30 to 4:30. And in the lab, we basically go over the skills that were talked about in lecture, and then we do them. So like, let's just say, for instance, last week in lab, we practiced on putting an NG tube in a dummy. So we learned the proper technique to do that. We also learned how to properly make a bed. And then we did things like practice 2-step blood pressures on each other. And what else did we do? Last week, we also did a couple of case studies. So you get case studies where you're presented with a patient who has some problems, and then you're to come up with a nursing diagnosis, come up with a plan or intervention evaluation for that particular patient. So I'll just give you guys an example of what a case study looks like. Mine was a 67-year-old male is admitted to the unit with a diagnosis of congestive heart failure. The patient states, I get short of breath before I'm able to make it up 1 flight of stairs to my room. He also reports having to take frequent breaks while doing everyday activities. During assessment, you observe his skin is pale pink with swelling in his hands and feet. You also notice that the patient is leaning forward in bed to breathe and has labored breath sounds. So we are to assess the patient to figure out objective information as well as subjective information. We are to come up with not a medical diagnosis, but a nursing diagnosis for this patient. We also have to come up with a plan of outcome for the patient care. So basically how we're going to proceed forward to care for the patient. And then with that plan, we want to make sure we come up with some interventions and implementations of things that we are going to do for that patient. And then you also want to make sure that at the end of care, whether it's end of shift, whether it's by discharge or whatever time specific frame you want to give your patient, you want to make sure you do an evaluation process and make sure that you have achieved the goals that you set forth in the plan. So we do things like this in lab. So let's just follow up. Monday, I'm in class from 8 to 12. I don't have any other classes. I go to the library, I study. So then Tuesday, I go to lab from 12:30 to 4:30 to practice skills. So that's that. Also on Tuesdays, I have another class after the lab. So the class that I have after the lab is applied pathophysiology. So I'm going to read the course description for you for pathophysiology. Pathophysiology is a synthesis of organic and inorganic chemistry, molecular biology, and cellular physiology that serves as a foundation for advanced understanding of pathophysiology and pharmacology. I know that was a mouthful. It was a lot of ologies in there, but yeah, so that's pathophysiology. I have a break from lab to the time that patho starts. So I get out of lab at 4:30, patho starts at 6. So usually in between that time, I try to grab a bite to eat. I also try to catch up on any readings if I'm behind so that when patho starts, I kind of like have information fresh on my brain to be able to contribute to discussions or to be able to ask whatever questions that I have. So that class is from 6 p.m. to 9:15. So literally I have like a full day of work, basically, you might as well say, to be in class and to retain this information, to be able to use this information for when we actually have clinicals, because it's important to know. So in this patho class, it's basically like a semi-component. She gives us the opportunity to be able to listen online to the class because it's also an online section. I chose to be in an in-person section because I'm just one of those people who I need to have that face-to-face interaction with my professors. Some people prefer to be online, but she does give us the option that if we don't want to come to class, we can listen to the online lectures of her online and get the information the same way. I just feel that it's useful to just be there for a class like this because, you know, this is a new topic that I'm going over. I don't really have any basis or knowledge for patho. I do have a little bit of chemistry and biology background, but this is a different type of science, and I just want to be in person. So from there, I go there on Tuesdays from 6 to 9:15. And then that's that for my Tuesday. After that, I'm pretty much burnt out. I'm not studying on that day. I'm just going to be honest with you. I just usually go home and wind down because I had a full day. So then I have another class, which is on Wednesdays. So in this class, it's called Theoretical and Philosophical Components of Nursing, okay? So this class is on Wednesday, and I have it from 6 to 9 p.m. So the whole day up until it's time to go to this class, I usually use it to catch up on work because it's always an assignment due. It's always a reading due. I mean, you should just really be busy. So I don't want to waste that entire day. So I usually get up and do my morning routine and spend that time studying for other classes or going over my reading for this class. So I'm going to give you guys a little bit about the description. So this course is designed to examine the nature, function, and development of concepts, models, and theories for their relevance to advanced nursing practice and nursing research. The structure of theory is analyzed by examining the relationship between theoretical components. A variety of types of theoretical statements utilized to conceptualize nursing practice and research are presented and evaluated. A process for developing a conceptual framework for inquiry in database nursing practice is presented. So this course also requires us to do community service-based hours, 12 per quarter. So in this particular course, it's more so of a graduate class because, like I said, I'm in a master's nursing program, if you guys didn't know that, but we have a component of your regular nursing courses and also graduate courses. So that's why that was a mouthful with the course description, unfortunately. and it's more of a theories-based class into nursing practice. So they also make us do lab hours and community-based hours. So we basically are assigned to a site where we give our services to people in the community. My particular site is a retirement home that I go to. These people are more so elderly people who are more functional and able to care for themselves, but we go in and we do things like fitness classes. One is called Sit and Be Fit, where we sit in a chair and we're active and we're working out with these elderly people. And this is important for them because they need to be mobile and use those limbs before they get stiff on them. So that's one of the things that we do. We also have like things like potlucks with them. The last potluck that we had with them was for St. Patty's Day. We decorated and we brought dishes and food and we just sat together and talked and had a great time. So another upcoming activity that we will be doing with them is called a paint and sip, where we will be bringing canvases for them to paint and we will be sipping wine. So we do a lot of different activities with them. So we're required to do at least 12 hours per quarter with them, and we'll be doing the same site until we graduate. So basically I only have class Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So I haven't started clinicals yet. We start clinicals in our week 6 of school. And the reason why is because we use the lab time to develop the skills necessary for clinicals before we actually go to clinicals. So then we'll use the remaining part of the quarter to apply those skill sets in the actual clinical setting. So as far as clinicals, we usually get tossed around the entire city of Chicago for clinicals, and that's because my school, I go to DePaul University, and they don't actually have a hospital. So we get to be placed all over Chicago, which has some very good hospitals to work at, which I enjoy because you don't necessarily get stuck at one site the entire program. You get to be exposed to multiple sites and multiple hospitals, and that's important to me, to be well-rounded, to make those connections that I would like to make, and to be able to be exposed to the different networks of hospitals in the Chicagoland area. So when we do go to clinicals this particular quarter, we will only be at clinicals for 6 hours. This particular rotation of hours usually do get longer. So it is expected that we be on time, that we don't miss any days. If you miss any days, it's possible to fail the clinical rotation site because you're missing a big portion when you don't go. So if you need to miss, you have to have a very well documented excuse for why you can't make it, and you then will have to in turn make it up on the back end some way, somehow. So throughout the quarter, we do have multiple exams, multiple assignments due, and it's very busy. So even though I myself this particular quarter only have classes from Monday through Wednesday, I am literally working from Monday through Sunday, okay? So I hope this video was helpful. If I missed anything to talk about or to include, please don't hesitate to let me know in the comments. If you like what you're hearing so far, give me a like and a thumbs up. Like, if it's anything else you guys would like me to talk about, please don't hesitate to let me know below. And also, if you're new to this channel and you like what you hear, just subscribe. Give me a click subscribe button down below. And that's all, folks.